Hey Norrin, how are you today? Thanks for
I'm
joining us.
I'm good, thank you. Good to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really good for us to catch up because we haven't worked together in 4 months or so. It's been about
Yeah.
4 months.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, so this is fun. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I have I'm 45. I've tried a bunch of different sports throughout my life. So I've been a runner for years and then got into triathlons because my knees and back started bothering me. And I think some of that was because I was probably a little too heavy and but also like needed some muscle issues. So I went to the gym, started learning to lift weights with coaching, which was good. And then yeah, it wasn't until sort of I met with you that I kind of understood how to lose weight, I think the right way. It was interesting. Like I think initially I got into running because I wanted to lose weight, which worked until it didn't. And then
You were big into cardio.
I was huge into cardio. I mean, I was running at one point, I was running 7 days a week. I'd done 3 marathons, which again, like it's easy to lose weight. It may not necessarily be the healthiest way to lose weight. And yeah, but I kept getting injured. And so that was the impetus to go to the gym to maybe get a little stronger. But it just I always found it challenging to lose weight without being heavy into cardio. That was like the biggest thing that I struggled with the most.
Yeah. And so what made you decide? I know you did a challenge through your gym, but then, you and I worked together one-on-one. What made you decide to say yes to that?
I learned so much in the first several weeks. I think you said immediately to all of us when we were part of the group was you're not going to be able to do the same things and have success. You're going to have to rethink how you think about your diet, and that really resonated with me. And just like because I the first week I realized very quickly that like I couldn't get the amount of protein into my diet without getting more fat when I was eating the way that I was eating before, and so in order to eat more healthily, I had to sort of re-examine not just like what I was eating, but like how I was building my meals. Even when I thought I was eating healthy, I was building it with maybe some like certain foods that were maybe not so healthy, and stuff that I wasn't necessarily aware of at the time. And so it took me a couple of weeks to get going on that. But once I did, I felt like I hit this really good place where I was like losing weight consistently. I was not losing muscle was the other thing. I was like consistently keeping
Losing
my
just
muscle,
that.
but losing my body fat. And it wasn't all that hard. Like that was the other thing is it was all about like just changing some of the foods and the ingredients that I was eating on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have, and because they've been told over and over, calories in, calories out, move more, eat less. And a lot of people say, okay, I'm only going to eat X number of calories, but they still want to eat all the processed food just in smaller quantities. And that is not doing them any favors, right? That's just helping them lose muscle instead of fat, or it's setting them up for failure eventually because they'll eventually get off that diet and
Yeah.
then they'll go right back to where they were.
Yeah. So the other thing that like convinced me to stay on was like I really like how you scaffolded the program. Like you built like each of the macronutrients like week in each week. So it like I got to think sort of only about protein one week and then only about carbs and then only about fats. And then you added in your fourth macronutrient, the fiber, which sort of I still tell people to this day that fiber was like the most revelatory thing for me because that was one, I had no idea that like we get so little fiber in our diets. That like sort of blew me away. Because that was you so like you should be getting like roughly 40, 35 to
And
45 grams
yeah,
of
yeah,
fiber. And I remember like the first week looking at it, I was like, oh my God, I got like six. Like that is
yeah.
like crazy on a daily basis. And so like it was things like that that really like sort of opened my mind to, oh, I really have to think differently about this. And so like now I like pour over the ingredients to see like how much fiber is in this. Like if I'm going to eat a bread or I'm going to eat a carb, like can I get it with fiber so I can make sure that that's part of it? Because that was and when I say revelatory, that was the point where I realized, oh my God, I'm not hungry anymore. Like I'm eating fiber and that's really filling me up. And so that kind of blew me away too. So it was like, yes, the protein helps and you really have to focus on getting enough protein, but like I think oftentimes I just had gotten used to like just snacking and eating constantly. And like the fiber really helped me not feel like I had to do that anymore.
That's awesome. And so you appreciated too, not just this big old mind dump on you in the beginning, like, hey, do
Yes.
everything. And it wasn't this overwhelming, ah, yeah.
Yeah, it was like every week and every like it was like sort of the lessons all sort of built on each other, and that like that totally made it easy for me to comprehend, but also sort of like put them into practice because I was focused on one thing to begin with. Now it all makes more sense, sort of how it all fits together. But at first, like if you'd have tried to tell me all that in one day, or in
Oh,
it
yeah.
would have been too much. Yeah.
You would have, like your brain would have just exploded. So would you say that fiber was your biggest aha moment?
I still, yes, absolutely. Huge, like the biggest aha moment. I like nobody talks about fiber. It's like, it's interesting. And then when you mention it
Well,
to other people, they blows
your
their mind.
gastroenterologist does.
Well, there, yes, that's true. But you know, it's funny when I bring it up to other people because people ask me like what worked or why. I'll talk about fiber, and I think that surprises them to some extent. But then it's funny because they'll have their own sort of fiber story. They're like, "Oh, I get fiber in this," or they'll tell me about a drink, or so it's sort of interesting. Like, because I'll tell them, you know, where I found a lot of fiber in certain foods and certain products, and yeah, but so everybody has their like own little fiber secret that they have, but like nobody talks about it sort of broadly as sort of the thing that makes the difference.
Yeah, I think my biggest one for me that I enjoy the most is chia seeds.
Interesting.
I put them in everything. I put them in that oatmeal bake now that I taught you about, and yeah.
Mine still to this day is spinach. I love spinach. I had no idea that like that instead of like lettuce, like that was just sort of like an easy switch to make and like
Yeah,
tastes better in my opinion. And
more nutritional value.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you probably remember I was putting like loads of spinach in my eggs scramble that I was making every morning. Like so much spinach in that. It was
Because
funny.
it shrinks down to this
Yes,
much
like
anyway
nothing.
when you cook
Yeah.
it. Yeah. What changes were you noticing, like physically, mentally, emotionally, as you were going through this process? And then at the end,
So I would say like the thing that I noticed the most is like I had more energy. I felt lighter on my feet, like to the extent, I think I told you when I started working with you, like one-on-one, not like when I was part of the group, that I was training for a triathlon at the time. Um, and I was sort of really looking forward to that, but I also wasn't super excited about stuffing myself into the wetsuit or the tri-suit. Sort of a bit of vanity in that, but in the sense that like I wanted to both like sort of look better and feel better at the same time. So the thing that I say that like I felt the best about was like when I actually did have to get into the tri-suit, like I felt pretty good about it. I actually I'd lost enough weight and body fat that I felt like I didn't look like I was overweight and like as I had in other pictures and other races that I'd done in the past.
mhm.
But the thing I felt most proud about, to be completely frank, was like how well I did on the triathlon. Like I was not tired. I felt like I had enough energy. I probably could have gone longer to the extent at the end of it. I was like, man, I should have picked the longer distance. That would have been more fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But you also, so now rewind to October, September, October last year, where you were making sure that you were running, swimming,
Yes.
hiking, and then you were hitting the cardio workouts at the gym
Yeah.
more than, and fast forward to what your training looks like today.
Yes. So I basically do no cardio. I'm trying to add it back in because slowly, because I want to start training for another race again. But I spent the last several months, both sort of after the triathlon was in December, and then I've spent the last several months since then basically no longer running or biking really at all, maybe one day a week for each at most. And I stopped really swimming. So really, I was getting no cardio whatsoever, but really had focused on getting enough protein or more protein to try and build muscle. The thing over that time is I built a ton of muscle, which was crazy, and I didn't really gain
And
any.
lost a ton of fat.
Yeah, I didn't gain any fat. Like I gained muscle, I lost fat, and yeah, it totally blew me away. Like because I was sort of a cardio monster to some extent. I always thought that in order to lose weight, I had to burn a lot of cardio calories on a daily basis, and Yeah, that was also revelatory, is the idea that like you could just eat right and lift weights, and the more muscle you gain, the more fat your body burns naturally.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that like I would never have known had I not worked with you.
And you were eating a lot more than
Yes.
you would have ever
Yes.
thought. So working out less,
Yes.
eating probably what, 1,000 calories more a day, maybe?
I mean, yeah, because I think I probably like if I'd have done my own diet, it would have been somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000. And I think I was doing like 26 to 2,800 calories a day, which is a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, what would you tell somebody else who is sitting on the fence, wondering if they should hire a coach to help them in the like nutrition and really overall health and wellness? Because we talked about a lot more than just food. We talked about sleep and hydration and exercise and mobility and everything that makes somebody well and healthy.
Yeah. It's like I think too many people think about it as a diet. You sort of hinted at this earlier, but like the idea that like it's really about lifestyle. Getting enough sleep was another thing I never did until I started working with you. I'd always heard you need to get 8 hours a night, but like I never really paid attention to the the impacts of not doing that, and I wasn't recovering the right way as a result of it. And then particularly because I was working so hard with so much cardio, I think that was having a real detrimental impact on my health. And so sleeping enough and drinking enough water. I mean, I think that's like the two of the simplest things, but also the the
Cheers.
yeah. The like those like weirdly like that like those probably made as much of a big difference as getting enough protein. Like I definitely would not sleep enough. I was probably one of those people that was 4 to 6 max hours a night, and probably not great sleep in that. I go to bed earlier now. I focus on getting in bed and going to sleep, and no technology as much as possible. And like I don't really miss any of that stuff, which is funny. And I sleep so much better now than I ever have before, which is fascinating, right? Like it's just like it's just training your body to think differently, to be different, and
Mhm.
it has a really big impact on you.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, or what do you think people misunderstand about changing their health? Do you think like what you just touched on, that it's like they can temporarily change something, or
I think what I notice the most when I talk to people about like what I did, or like, getting involved in doing it, is like they see it as like as this hard thing that they would have to change so much. What I noticed is that there are ways to do the same things that you're doing just in a better way. Like to think about it, like, if you like to snack, like creating a healthy granola, instead of like going to the chips and stuff like that. So just as like a small example, the other thing is just being a little bit more prepared. I think people sort of get freaked out about having to prepare their meals, right? Like um one of the like pieces that I saw from other people is they really wanted someone to tell them what to make. Like, here's what you should make for the entire week. What I liked about what you shared with us was that it like gave me the flexibility to make what I wanted within the program, right? And I think people are just like sort of, I think the autonomy, I think freaks people out a little bit sometimes, but it actually is the best part of it, because you don't actually have to fit into somebody else's like view of what you should be eating. Like you can still eat all those things. It's just within the smart choices about it.
right? So learning how to eat the foods that you want to eat
Right.
and have the lifestyle that you want to have, not one that I'm dictating,
Right.
and put systems in place to build those habits. Yeah,
Yes.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's what makes it sustainable.
Yeah, totally. Like that's the takeaway for me, was like, like, and I'm sure you heard this a million times before, but like diets are always temporary, right? Like everybody gets on a diet, they have some success, and then when they stop doing the diet, all of a sudden all that success goes away. The thing I learned working with you is that like this isn't a diet. That's very different. Like it's a way of thinking about the foods that you eat, what you put in your body, and like the water, the rest, and all of it, sort of how it works together. Yeah, it was that piece of it really helped me think about like oh, I could totally do this on my own, right? And that was sort of surprising to me too. Is like, oh, I could take all this and I can do it,
Yeah.
if you learn it the right way.
Yeah. Nice. Well, what's next for you? So you're thinking about another try.
Yeah. So I gained muscle. And prior to working with you, I hadn't actually I hadn't been making as many gains in the gym as I wanted. And so I've gained some muscle. I'm bench pressing 200 pounds now, which is sort of a big jump for me, which I'm excited about. So I think sort of one goal is I'd love to get to 225 because I think that's sort of like a big sort of like marker around strength, being able to bench that much. Um, but I've been feeling more and more like I want to do another race again. So I think I'm going to start training for another triathlon. I don't know if it'd be the same one as I did last time or a different one, maybe working up to that. But I haven't really, because I have not been doing cardio for 6 months. Like it's going to take me a little longer to get back into it. But I'm also sort of more conscientious about like, should I be training as much as I did before? And like, should I maybe sort of back off a little bit to allow my body to heal? And so maybe not training 6 or 7 days a week, thinking about like, maybe only doing a couple, 3, 4 days a week, maybe, or something to that effect. So that's another thing that I have to figure out as
Train
well.
smarter, not
Yes.
harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm sure you'll do great. And with all that new muscle, you'll probably still hit some PRs at the end of
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having a little chat with us today. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.